Welcome back, parents. It is day 5 of Vacation Bible School. I have your day 5 supply list up here on the board again. We will need our activity books again. We have the thumbs up page. It will have a number 26 at the bottom of the page. That can be cut in half on the dotted line. Also, you will have the Bible verse strips, which has the number 34 at the bottom of the page, and that also can be cut on the dotted line ahead of time. And then an optional activity that we'll have at the end of the lesson that you can do with your children is if you would like to have some sort of container of water. That could be a kitchen sink, it could be a bathtub. I'll have a bucket here just for demonstration purposes, and then 4 to 5 objects of varying densities that you can use to show your children some of the things that we're going to talk about there at the end of the lesson. If you need to take a moment to pause the video and gather the items, then you are welcome to do so, and we'll be right back with you in a minute. Welcome back, boys and girls. It is day 5 of Vacation Bible School. It is our last day together this year for Vacation Bible School. It has been a fun year. This has been kind of crazy doing Vacation Bible School this way, but it is exciting that we still get to meet together this way and we still get to learn about Jesus together. Today, we are going to learn about a Bible story. And in this Bible story, we're going to learn that Jesus helps me know how to live. And so I'm excited to share this one with you. I'm going to go ahead and put our final window in our building. And look at that, our building is complete. Isn't that exciting? Now, didn't we say in our Bible verse that God started a good work in me and He will complete it? Hasn't that been our Bible verse all week long? And isn't that exciting? We get to see a little bit of something being completed. Remember, we talked about how silly it would be to start a building and not put a roof on it or not put the windows on? Well, here we go. A completed building. It is totally finished, and just like that building is completed, God will finish His work in you, and He'll finish His work in me, and that is a very exciting thing. So today we're going to turn our attention to our teenagers again, and they are going to share a Bible story with us, and this is really a very special Bible story. We get to learn about a wise man who was building a house and a very foolish man who was building a house. And remember, we talked about foundations. Our motto, Jesus, our strong foundation. We talked about the fact that a foundation is something, maybe rock, maybe concrete, maybe something else that's very strong and sturdy that you put a building on. And the stronger your foundation, the more strong your building is going to be. It's not going to get blown around when winds and storms come through. It's going to stand strong. And we talked about the fact that having a life where Jesus is our foundation, where we live for Him, where we follow Him, where we trust Him, where we love Him, that makes our lives strong as well. And so today's story that the teenagers are about to tell us is going to show these two men, the wise man and the foolish man, and how they both try to build a house. And we're going to listen and see what happens when these two men build their house. So listen carefully. One day, crowds of people gathered to hear Jesus teach. When He saw the people, He went up to the mountain and sat down. His disciples came near, and Jesus taught them. Jesus taught a lesson. People who hear what I say believe and obey me will be like the wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came, the rivers rose, and the winds blew hard against the house. But the house didn't fall because it was built on the solid rock foundation. But people who hear my words and don't pay attention to them are like the foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came, the rivers rose, and the winds blew hard against the house. Then the house fell down with a big crash. Jesus taught this lesson to help us understand that God will help us know how to live. Okay, thank you, teenagers. Isn't it interesting how the man who built his house on a nice, strong foundation, when the winds came, his house stayed strong and it did not fall down. But the man who built his house on a weak foundation, when the winds and the storms came, his house fell down. And again, that's what life is like with Jesus. Hard times are going to happen even when you follow Jesus, but you will be able to stand strong when you're following Jesus through all of those hard times. Now, I would like for you to get your 2 thumbs. Okay, you should have 2 thumbs. Now, if you want to pause and color your thumbs, then you're welcome to do that. And then start back up again. We're going to review our Bible story using our 2 thumbs. If you notice, one thumb points up to the ceiling. It's a thumbs up. The other thumb points down to the floor. It's a thumbs down. We understand that thumbs up means yes, and thumbs down means no. Okay? So I'm going to ask you questions about our Bible story, and you're going to hold up your thumbs up if the answer is yes, and you're going to hold up your thumbs down if the answer is no. So get ready, get one in each hand, and get ready. Here we go. Jesus taught a crowd of people. Yes, Jesus taught a crowd of people. The disciples left in a boat. No, the disciples did not leave in a boat. Jesus told about men who build houses. Yes, Jesus did tell about men who built houses. One man built his house on the sand. Yes, one of those men did build his house on the sand. One man built his house in a tree. No, none of the men built their house in a tree. The wise man built his house on a rock, and the house did not fall down. Yes, this is true. The wise man built his house on a rock, and the house did not fall down. Jesus taught the people how to live. Yes, this is true. Jesus taught the people how to live. And how do we live? We live by following Jesus, by studying his word, by learning about him, by loving him, and obeying him. And this is the strong foundation that we build our lives on. All right, boys and girls, now we are going to do another activity. If you look at the little pieces of paper that are all cut up, every single one of them has our memory verse. Every single one. They have different pictures. We've got a hard hat. We've got a drill. and another drill, and some other kinds of pictures. Here's a saw. So we have these different pictures, but every single one of these says, I know that God started a good work in me and He will complete it. Philippians 1:6. We are going to use these pieces of paper to build a house. Okay, and it's really simple. We're not going to do anything complicated. All you got to do is fold your paper in half. And once you fold it up and then open it, it's going to stand up all by itself. Then you're going to fold another one. And guess what? It's going to stand up too. And if you put them all together, it will actually make a square. And so you put that on your table. And then remember, we don't want to leave our buildings, our houses, unfinished. We want them to be complete. Just like God is going to complete His work in us, we want our houses to be complete. So let's use the rest of the strips to put a roof right on top of our houses that we're building. Very good. Isn't that cool? I know that God started a work in me and He will complete it, and He will do the same thing in your life. Now, if you'll take your activity book and open up to page 12. The first, it's got some helicopters and the tip top of a building here. And right here we have the story of the house on the rock, of the story of the wise and the foolish builder. And if you want to read that again with your mommy and daddy, you can. That's such a great lesson for us to learn about Jesus teaches us how to live. Now, over here on the side, you have this great big blank spot, and right at the bottom it says, Jesus helps me know how to live. And what you need to do is use that little part down there, that gray part with the words in it. That is the foundation for your building, and you get to draw your own building up here in the blank part, right on top of the foundation of the building that you can build on right here. Okay? So if you would like to pause and take a minute to do that, then you can do that, and we'll be right back with you. All right, if you have finished your activity page, then we have one last activity for Bible study today. And this is kind of a fun one, just because it's our last day and it's just sometimes fun to just do something fun. So I have a bucket here with water, and you maybe have a sink with water in it or a bathtub, or maybe you have a bucket. And what you get to do is you get to take some of these objects. And we know that in our Bible story we had wind and we had rain and we had rivers flooding. But you know, water is really an interesting thing. We get to see that some things are going to float in our water and some things are not going to float. So I've got some objects. I have got a block of wood. I've got a trowel used for spreading things. I've got a screw. This is made out of metal. And I've got a screwdriver. Now, some of your objects are going to float and some of them are not. You can go pick some objects that your mommy and daddy say you're allowed to use, because we don't want to put anything in the water that is going to be damaged. And we get to put our objects in the water, and you get to see which ones are gonna float and which ones are gonna sink down to the very bottom. And it might be interesting. You might be surprised which ones float and which ones sink. So y'all have a fun time playing this game with your mommy and daddy. And I'm so glad that you were here at Vacation Bible School with us. And I pray and hope that you will keep reading your activity book, your Bible stories, and studying those with your parents. And I hope that you make the decision that you want to follow Jesus all the days of your life, and that I'll get to see you at church very soon. Know that we love you, and we will see you next year.